Okay, I think I'm going to check out what's happening in congahead.com now.
Well, Paquito, it's a wonderful pleasure to have a great man of jazz and Latin and a world statesman for music here in my photo studio to talk to me.
Finally, you invited me here.
Well, I wanted to have the right setting, and we did have an opportunity to get some pictures for your professional needs. And I wanted to talk just about my knowing you and what I don't know about you. I know I first knew of you coming to America in 1979 with Irakere. And that was the year that that band came to my house to celebrate Tito's birthday, 55th or something like that, birthday, and you didn't show up.
No, I was with my mother, who already was living here, and I had little time to spend with her, and my father was here too, and my sister. But I regret it because they said it was a wonderful party, and that Tito threw his face in the cake.
That was the beginning of the tradition of Tito burying his face in the whipped cream. But you came here as a member of this great Latin jazz orchestra that has had such an impact on the world, and you hit the ground and you, as they say, defected in America. And you said to me you didn't work as a sideman. Why?
Because they didn't call me for work. So I have to invent my own thing, you know?
And in doing that, I mean, what was the first aggregation you put together, the first group that you assembled?
Well, yes, I did some Simon work, very little, with Dizzy Gillespie, with very illustrious members of the community. You know, people like Tito gave me a couple of shots. I went to Chicago with him, subbing for Mario Rivera, and then with Dizzy I did the Dream Band, and
you also did the United Nations Orchestra.
Well, that happened many years later. That happened in 1988, I believe. And I worked with Dizzy in and out, you know, not as a regular member, but as a guest artist. I remember that my first tour with Dizzy was beautiful. Toots Thielemans was supposed to be his guest artist, and he was working in Chicago in Boston, in Washington, with my quintet. And then I received a call. What Dizzy? Paquito, you want to come to Europe with us? I said, you were supposed to go to do that European tour with Toots Thielemans. I said, yeah, but he got a stroke. You know, he's very sick and he's not going to be able to do the tour. And I said, but Dizzy, I am not as famous as Toots Thielemans. And I said, I only ask you want to do the tour, you don't. I said, okay. Well, that was the beginning of the end, you know. Ever since I have my own tours every year in Europe, and thanks to the help of Dizzy Gillespie.
That really gave you an opportunity to get recognized.
Opened the door for me, especially in the festivals, you know, the festival circuit in Europe, because I was presented not as a member of his quartet, but as his guest artist, and he had so much fun. And thanks God, Toots Thielemans improved, and we had the chance to play together also.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, he recorded with me as a guest artist a beautiful CD called Why Not? Michel Camilo was the pianist in that time, and Portinho was the drummer. I think I have had a lot of fun coming to America and playing with so many different people.
Well, you of course come from Cuba, but you have almost with an equal fervor embraced the samba and the music of Brazil, which
yes.
I remember one Carnegie Hall performance when you said, hey, this is not Carmen Miranda.
Yeah.
And I happened to have been with a Brazilian woman who yelled something out, but I knew where you were coming from. You were into the serious samba and not something digested for an American audience. And I'm a big fan of the music of Brazil as I am of Cuba. So you have worked in Brazil as well?
I have had the honor to be invited to play Brazilian music in Brazil, and that for me is something extraordinary, because I was scared to death, to go there to play chorinhos, the traditional. Of course, I studied that music, and I have been accepted. There was a time when I surround myself only by Brazilian musicians. Claudio Roditi, the trumpeter, and Portinho and Sergio Brandao, and I listened to Jobim and Villalobos and all that, Pichinguinha. So I have a theory that you don't have to be Austrian to play Mozart. It helps, But all you need is some respect for the music,
But when it comes to playing Cuban traditional music, a lot of people have difficulty, don't they, in this concept of clave and playing it correctly. And how many people do you know that don't come out of that tradition or culture of either Puerto Rican or Cuban that can actually play it well?
There is a fantastic group that comes to my memory now in a contemporary Cuban jazz group that they play also Brazilian music very well. In Holland, called Nueva Manteca.
Oh, yeah, Jan Hartog.
It's amazing what they do with contemporary Cuban music and with contemporary Brazilian music. And as I said before, you don't have to be Austrian to play Mozart. All you need is some dedication and some talent also. If you don't have the talent to understand that clave thing or that. For example, Cuban music and Brazilian music, they have common roots, but the leaves are different. It's a different tree, So you have to be very careful, because most people in either side, they don't understand each other. It's a pity, but that's the way it works.
Well, that probably influences you in how you choose your sidemen, people who can be flexible in both areas.
It's very hard to find sidemen for me.
I know your wife was saying that you're particularly concerned with those that are very flexible and aren't particularly difficult. I know a guy like Mark Walker is somebody that you use that you enjoy working with. Who are some of the other people that you've employed that can work on both parts of this spectrum?
The bass of my band is a bass player by the name of Oscar Estañaro. He's a teacher at Berkeley. He spent all his time listening to Cachao or to Luizão, the Brazilian bass player, or to do research on Latin American music, or music in general, So you need people like that. I have Darío Schianazzi. Oscar is from Peru, by the way, Oscar Estañaro. Darío Schianazzi is Argentinian, and he has been playing with Brazilian and as well as salsa bands for a long time, as well as jazz orchestras also, jazz small groups and all that. So he knows all those languages, fluently. And I have Diego Urcola on the trumpet, who occupied Claudio Roditi's chair when the Brazilian left the band, which is a very hard chair to occupy, Roditi is a fantastic trumpeter and very impressive soloist. But I am lucky. I have surrounded myself with people who want to understand the music,
But I know you also have another part of your career where you go off and do a solo concerto kind of a thing around the world. What's that about?
My father was a classical saxophone player. He never had the ability to improvise, but he was crazy about Lester Young and the Basie Band and the Ellington Band, and especially Benny Goodman, who was a classical player as well as a jazz player. So I grew up listening to music. He played anything on the turntable. My father played anything. He played the Carnegie Hall Concerto by Benny Goodman and his big band. And then following that, he played the Mozart Concerto played by Benny Goodman. So until I was like 12 years old, I didn't know the difference between Mozart and Pérez Prado. Still today, I don't see it.
Okay, well, but I know you do some things in the classical arena, but one of the things you pointed out earlier when we were talking was the fact that there's a great series that's been played on PBS about jazz with one very significant omission, and that was the contribution of Latinos to jazz. Machito and Tito Puente and
All of them. Jobim,
and Jobim.
Piazzolla, and Jorge Dalto, Tito Puente, all those guys. You know, I think you cannot talk about the history of jazz music, which is the music of this country of immigrants, without talking about the enormous influence of Latin America, of musicians from Latin American origin. The first flute solo in the history of jazz was recorded by a Cuban flutist by the name of Alberto Socarrás, with the orchestra of I can't remember the name, Steve Lawrence. No, I can't remember the name of this man. But well, the important thing is that the first jazz flute solo ever was recorded in 1929 by Alberto Socarrás, and the contribution of Juan Tisol from Puerto Rico and Antonio Carlos Jobim from Brazil. It's enormous. You can talk, it's very simple, you cannot talk about the history of this country without talking about the history of Latinos in this country, or to be wider, the history of the immigrants in this country from any part of the world. This is a country of immigrants, this is America.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're one of those immigrants that has taken the American opportunity and made it an opportunity for you to expand your music, and also it's been able to fuel your habit for collecting VWs, hasn't it? And I mean, you could buy a fancy brand new car, but you got to buy problem vehicles that require a lot of fix-up, right?
Yes, I love it. And you know what else I have here? I just bought a wonderful 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air.
Well, I thought you were just getting sentimental about Cuba, but you told me that is a collector's item.
Yeah. The Chevrolet 57 is a collector item. These two cars are the most recognizable cars in the history of motors, of automobiles. The Volkswagen Beetle and the Chevy 57. So I got them both.
And it further puts Garfield, New Jersey, the home of LP, on the map because you can get spare parts for that Chevy, right?
Yeah, how did you find that out?
You told me by email. And you have now gotten enough parts to put that car back together?
Yes, I think I'm going to have my Chevy 57 very soon.
Well, you were also in this movie, this very wonderful movie by Trueba, Calle 54. And I think, did the movie start off with this crazy Cuban guy driving down Boulevard East with snow all over with the top down in your VW?
Thanks to Trueba, I have a heavy cold. I feel like the first Cuban penguin in the history.
I said, what's wrong with this man?
I have two Volkswagen. One is a 64, which is covered, and I have the C70, which is a convertible. And I was, walking through my garage directly to the covered one, and Trueba say, no, the convertible. I said, the convertible is 3 below. I said, man, this is for the sake of art. I'm telling you, man, that I need a lot of vitamin C after that.
I'm sure you did, and a few good doctors, but the movie was great, and it was another beautiful showcase to the significant contributors to, I guess, the Latin music, Latin jazz from Spain, Michel Camilo, yourself,
Aliani Elias from Brazil, and Puntilla, who did the beautiful rumba thing with the patato, and Chano Dominguez, that fantastic pianist from Cadiz, Andalusian, and Chucho and Bebo Valdez. That was a lot of fun, that movie. And of course, that was the last movie by our dear Tito Puente. Tito was all in white, like in the cloud.
Like he was in heaven.
Yes.
And with that, Paquito, I want to thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule to visit with us at LP and to talk to the people at congahead.com and to share some of your experiences.
Well, I have to tell you something, that I came out of my way to come here for a very special reason. And it's because for us, you are a very special person, a very special friend who make a living out of making the instrument that we create in our countries of origin. And that is a very noble cause. And I wish you many millions for that thing, because you deserve it.
I appreciate hearing it from you. And again, thank you for being here.
Pleasure. I think I am going to check out congahead.com again.